The tropics have come to life in the Atlantic and Pacific today. I'm Mike Naso from the IPR Tropical Video Update page with an update on the tropics. Hurricane season 2019 got busy this morning when Tropical Storm Imelda suddenly developed right off the coast of Texas. This morning there was an area of disturbed weather. It started to spin, became a depression, and then quickly a tropical storm made landfall near Freeport, Texas around 1-2 in the afternoon. You can see as of 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, the center of Imelda is inland over Texas, but we still have tropical storm force winds that are occurring close to areas there near Freeport. And it's at 29.3 north, 95.3 west, moving north at 7. However, it is going to be this slow motion with a well-organized tropical storm that's going to prolong any possible rain event. And that's going to be the big deal here with Imelda. This is out of the Weather Prediction Center over the next 5 to 7 days. Look at the rainfall that could fall on areas of eastern Texas here. And those of us who have tracked hurricanes for a while can't forget Tropical Storm Allison. Never became a hurricane, but back in June of 2001, Allison just dropped so much rain and flooded Houston, and then took a spiraling track all the way up the East Coast. It kept us busy tracking for June, but it never became a hurricane. But it was really, really prolific flooding. And Allison was one of only 2 tropical storms to get its name retired without ever having been a hurricane because Allison's flooding was so bad. Hopefully, Imelda is nothing like Allison, but nevertheless, areas of eastern Texas there could see substantial rain. Look at this radar. Look at how the center came together right at the end there, right in here. See that turning? Look at that little center develop, and this is still very, very well defined. Thank goodness Imelda didn't have an extra day over the Gulf of Mexico, or we'd quite likely be having a Category 1 hurricane make landfall. Nevertheless, you could see this moisture here pushing into the Texas coast, along with the areas there of western Louisiana, Cameron Parish, and Holly Beach. You guys will get some heavy surf, and not so much the surf as the rainfall, which could be prolific with the slow motion of Imelda over the next couple of days. Look at that beautiful visible satellite imagery. Clearly this system was going to be a hurricane, and it's a little bit reminiscent of Hurricane Humberto, not the one we have out there now, but back when the name list was used in 2007, we had a hurricane that developed literally in 24 hours right near the same area, a little to the north, near High Island, Texas. And it caught people off guard and by surprise. So, again, Imelda developing quickly near the Texas coastline, definite rotation there near the center. And because it strengthened as it came on shore, it's going to take a while for this vigorous circulation to wind down. And that means rainfall continuing over the next 3 days. The flood threat very real. Now we're going to switch gears and go to Hurricane Humberto. Now, as of 5 p.m., Humberto was at 31.0 north, 72.3 west, winds 105 miles an hour. So it's a powerful hurricane, Category 2. It is forecast to become a Category 3 major hurricane and get very, very close to Bermuda. We now have a hurricane warning for the island of Bermuda. I gotta say, for a little island in the middle of the ocean, these people got to batten down the hatches a lot because hurricanes are always out there. It's moving east-northeast at 10, so that's good news for the United States. It's going to continue to move away. However, bad news for Bermuda, 960 millibars. The Hurricane Center noted that the GFS computer model shows about 20-30 knots of wind shear on it. That is obviously, as they said, an overestimate because when you see this donut here, this is a very well-defined circulation and a powerful Category 2 hurricane. Now, what's bad for Bermuda is you could barely make it on this map. Do you see Bermuda? You see the east coast of the U.S., you see New Jersey and Long Island, all this. Bermuda is this red dot right in here where I just circled. See it now, right in there? That's Bermuda, and this is the donut eye of Hurricane Humberto, headed very, very close, and there are expectations from the Hurricane Center tomorrow that we will have hurricane force winds in Bermuda. Even if you don't get in that donut of an eye, you could still get hurricane force winds and onshore flow. Remember, a very tiny island there, and a very large hurricane headed your way. So, again, it's good news here. You can see the flow pushing it off the East Coast. It's not going to hit the United States, but it is going to get very close to Bermuda, and we have hurricane warnings out. Now we go further out, and we have Tropical Depression 10, okay? Now, as of 5 p.m., this was at 13.4 north, 45.6 west. Winds are 35. It's moving west-northwest at 9, 1,007 millibars. It is forecast to become a tropical storm and then a hurricane over into this weekend and towards early next week. And it could come very close to the northern Leeward Islands. So if you are in the Caribbean islands, you want to be on alert, because you are potentially within the cone here of where this system will head by, say, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We could have a hurricane either very close to or right over you. It's still too early to say. By the way, if and when this becomes a tropical storm, since we just had Imelda, this would be Jerry. And it is forecast by the Hurricane Center to be Hurricane Jerry and get rather close to the islands. Now, after that, it's a little bit uncertain. A good idea from these models is that this is going to get a kick like Humberto and move out, although there's poor Bermuda again. However, some of the models, the H-WRF here moving it through the Caribbean, the HMON moving it closer to the south, and now the European. Check out this from weathernerds.com. This is the European Ensemble model. As you can see, Humberto moves out. Look at the uncertainty here in the longer term with our other system. Some of them do want to take it closer to land or overland. Some want to take it into the Caribbean. The point is here, we have a system that we know in the next 2 or 3 days is going to move close to the islands and strengthen probably into a hurricane. So if you're in the islands, you're the first ones to watch this. But if you are in areas further west, Turks Caicos, Bahamas, Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Florida, East Coast, want to keep an eye on it, because there's a lot of uncertainty after 4 or 5 days, according to some of the computer models. There's the infrared satellite imagery, looking like it'll probably become Tropical Storm Jerry later tonight or early tomorrow, as long as it keeps bursting a little flat there on the northwest side. Not very, very favorable, but favorable enough to become a tropical depression and potentially a hurricane in a couple of days. So we're going to watch this one very carefully. You can see the upper level wind shear is not really a problem. Imelda had great favorable conditions, which is why she spun up so quick. Humberto has shear off to the north, but that's more the outflow of the hurricane. Conditions well enough for that to become a major hurricane. And then here's our tropical depression with a pretty good safe harbor the next couple of days of these blues and greens. That's low wind shear at the upper levels of the atmosphere that would tear it apart. So that's why we're thinking this could be a hurricane near the islands in a couple of days. So again, in the Atlantic Basin, Imelda coming into Texas on the left side of the screen, Humberto strengthening and headed for Bermuda in the middle of the screen, and now a new tropical depression that could become a hurricane for the northern islands in a couple of days. Eastern Pacific, you have Kiko, you have Mario, you have Lorena. Lorena could come close to the coast. Keep an eye on it in the Baja. I'm Mike Naso. I'll talk to you next time.